Enchanté.
Hello lovelies, in this very special episode of Everyday Chateau, we're going to give you a summer farmhouse tour. We just had a huge storm go through the garden last night, and so I've been out cutting all these gorgeous flowers, and I'm going to put them in vases around the house. And I thought, well, while I'm at it, why don't I grab my camera and take you around the house and show what it looks like this July. We have a lot of new subscribers, so I'll do my very best to share with you some before pictures to explain the unique architecture of the house and give you a little background on the house in case this is your first tour with us. You can always check out the Christmas tour and the spring farmhouse tour, but I'm excited because I've been wanting to do a summer tour for a few weeks now. So let's go inside. I'm going to get these flowers in some nice cool water. We'll walk around, show you everything we've been working on. Of course, there are still a lot of projects in mid-project state because that's just the way we do things, and we have been outside working all the time on the potager. Actually, the very first project that I want to share with you is what I'm standing on right now. This is our most recent project. There used to be a really nasty deck here and a really ugly screen door, and we've put in these beautiful steps with stone harvested from the property. I think they look old. I think they look organic to the property. I'm very, very pleased with the way they turned out. So check it out. As you can see, we've started to paint the house. So I picked a really creamy white. This is coat number 1, so it will get a second coat. And then this beautiful blue that is inspired by a vintage window that I found. And I think it goes great with the stone color, with the pea gravel in the courtyard. I think we should head inside because I don't think I've shown you the boot room since about last summer when Joel put that primer coat over the wallpaper, which it still has. What we did was we just sealed up the wallpaper. It was in really good condition, and we're going to do shiplap over the top, so there was no reason to remove it. So Joel just sealed it with an oil paint. That's the way it still looks. We're going to put the sink that we found in the woods in the boot room, make it a proper area for me to wash my eggs, wash my vegetables, make a welly rack. Everyone asks about the refrigerator. You've probably noticed there is not a refrigerator in my kitchen, but I'll show you where it is in the boot room. So let's go inside. These beautiful flowers desperately need water, and let's start our tour. Well, why don't we change things up and start with some before clips? This is the very first day we walked through the house. So here's the boot room the way we saw it exactly 22 months ago. Walking into the kitchen, you can see the louver doors. You'll see that's where the range is these days. The ceiling has been painted, the beams have been stained, the chair rail has been taken down, all the wallpaper is gone, the refrigerator is gone, the electric stove is gone, almost all of the cabinetry is gone. The IKEA lights are gone. The stainless steel sink is gone. This is looking out into my future greenhouse, so it's an envelope house. And so there are 2 stories of greenhouse on the front of the house. In the back, you'll see a very deep window. And so it's literally a house within a house. If you look down that window, you can see all the way from the basement up to the attic. Now this is the boot room as we have it today, with just a coat of paint on it. It's going to be shiplapped. This is where I keep my refrigerator because it's an industrial fridge and it's very loud, and so I like the white noise to stay out of the living area. For now, this is a great space for me to keep my vegetables and my baking cart and my eggs, and for everyone to keep their boots. And now take a turn with me through the kitchen. You can see we've painted the ceiling and stained the beams. I love the way the beams came out. They're a beautiful walnut color, which I think is perfect because we're definitely leaning more towards a Normandy or a Britannic style farmhouse. It's definitely not a south of France look because that's not really conducive to the 4 seasons that we have here. The yellow cabinet is our very first antique that we purchased way back when we were first married 25 years ago, and it's been since painted yellow. It's your typical cherry wood. I took the glass doors off, and now it's home to all my transferware. I have my scales in the kitchen, and of course my tin collection, chocolates and teas. They're everywhere. I love the beams. I think they came out perfectly. And the butcher block that we were so blessed to receive a few years back. On top of the hearth, which I just can't believe this is where that pantry was, is just a door, and we're saving money for the perfect piece of salvaged wood. All the lighting on this tour are pieces that I've been gathering for over the years. That one used to be in Julian's room. I love the teardrops. And of course, flowers. I'm a gardener, and my favorite thing to do is get up very, very early and go out and either weed the garden or cut flowers and bring them in, and they're literally all over the house. I'm forever changing water and freshening flowers. I love these colors for the garden this year. The garden is a 1.5 years old, and it's very strong with corals and blues. I love the Potomac apple blossom snapdragon there with the purple kale. This is one of my favorite arrangements. And sitting there in that copper sink, that's about all I can handle. I had that copper sink sitting in our old barn before we bought this house for a couple years, just waiting for the perfect place to use it. My favorite transferware picture. And this is the kitchen, so you can see how much we've done. The window is plasticed off. We're going to be stoning that window, so it looks like a very deep set window lined with stone. That's part of the envelope. So again, if we peeled that plastic back, you could look down to the basement or see up to the attic. All my cookbooks on my old favorite workbench that was pulled out of somebody's garage. And actually, this is one of my favorite pieces in the house, that hook there for all my cups. The yellow cabinet is home to all my favorite transferware. And for now, the old countertops, that's about all that's left of the kitchen, are just being held up with some birch trees that we salvaged from all the trees we cut down to put the garden in. Now, I would say to anybody that's dreaming of cultivating a home someday, taking what's in their mind and making it a reality as far as their space, in which they want to live. Like, just start gathering things. This little corner sink I had for a long time. You can watch the Everyday Chateau episode where we find the perfect brass bucket and the perfect faucet. Take out the Home Depot special vanity and put this little corner sink into the downstairs bathroom, which was carpeted with cattail wallpaper, and your just quintessential hardware store mirrored vanity, hardware store vanity. And the mirror now hanging there was Joel's grandfather's, and it used to hang in his barbershop. I've had those curtains forever, and I just stapled them to some Luan around this cute corner sink. The color is Trophy. It is Miss Mustard Seed, and it needs some TLC, but I slapped it up really quick just so we could have something, because it's the first floor bathroom. That's an old piece of marble that I put over the back of the toilet, and of course my beautiful French antique import. It has a New Orleans stamp on the bottom. That is a lavatoire. It is surely one of my favorite pieces in the whole house. This little room off of the kitchen is what sold me on the house. The little angle. There's a little tiny hallway that goes to the bathroom and into this foyer, and the little angle on the ceiling just had my heart. I love this room. It's dark, it's cozy, it has the stairway headed upstairs. I've got a linen cabinet, and it goes right into the wine room, what we call the wine room, which is where we take guests to maybe have a drink after dinner when the kids are off playing somewhere else. This room is very, very intimate. We put a little chandelier in right away. A huge inspiration for this house is the house in the movie A Good Year. It's soft, it's romantic, it's dark, it's cozy. I love watching that movie and just looking at the house as a main character instead of watching Russell Crowe, which is always fun too. But that house is amazing. There's mementos everywhere. The movie is about memories, and I love the house because it displays black and white pictures and letters and stationery and old books and oil paintings. And that's exactly the kind of look I wanted for our house. All of the things that I've been gathering over the years to just be able to display them. And this is a great space to do that. The mirror is something I found at a barn sale, and it's just beautifully desilvered. The wine labels are from a friend. The wine list is from an old French restaurant. An old restaurant, actually, not even French, in my mom's neighborhood. The baseboard we just salvaged. Some friends of ours salvaged that from an old farmhouse. And this is one of my favorite corners. I just love the bottles. I love the quirkiness of the little string lights. I love the light coming from the west. Little prints that followers have sent me over the years. These are so tiny, and I just think they're precious. And who can resist an old crusty wine bottle with dried hydrangea? I mean, if that's not a love language, I don't know what is. I love this space. It doesn't get a lot of daylight. It is very, very cozy. It takes you to the upstairs. It's sort of this landing that separates the upstairs from the downstairs. I have my Downton Abbey bell. The cabinet on the right here is something that I purchased with the home. So it's a great place for me to store linens, some of which were embroidered by my great-grandmother right before she lost her sight. Very, very special to me. Of course, with the tragedy at Notre Dame, that print's very special. These are hydrangea from my grandmother's farm, and it's just a great space. And now I'm going to give you a shot, a little peek at what this house again looked like on the first day we walked through, because I'm going to show you these rooms, but I thought you should see how far they've come. It's really, really incredible. I stumbled upon this footage while putting this video together. And even though we've really done nothing to this room, it's just still stunning. We've been here a year and a half. My to-do list is a mile long, but to actually look at this footage really gives me an understanding of all the heart that we've poured into this project. And I hope you enjoy seeing the before pictures. Okay, so this is the wine table I was telling you about, and again, it's just a great place to bring company, get away from the kids. The harvest table seats a lot of people, but you know, after dinner and you're feeding all those children, sometimes the adults want to just tuck away. So this is where we do it. We bought this table with the house. It was here when we walked through. It looked nice. I said, you know what, I really don't have enough furniture for this house, so let's ask for the table as well. I have to share with you these champagne buckets that I scored at the thrift shop last week. If you follow along on Instagram, you saw that. The Cordon Rouge, I found a Veuve Clicquot, and then that one back there is one that a follower sent me last year. I have a black Veuve Clicquot in the kitchen and a copper one, so that's 5. So I'm set. I'm gonna do a champagne tasting for you around the holidays, teach you all about the differences between the champagnes, and I will be featuring my new champagne buckets. So let's please turn around here. And why don't we go to the middle room where the fireplace is? That's where we hang out as a family. That's where we have a lot of our books. And we're still going to put in a big bookcase up where the deck railing is. Hopefully this winter. Our project list is so long, and if you look closely you'll see there's trim that's missing and baseboard that's missing here and there. It's okay. The whole thing is a process. It would actually be really boring if we just got it all done. I thought when we bought the house this would probably take us about 5 years, especially because we're so invested in the exterior and the property and the gardens and the Euro Village. So we're a year and a half into it. So let's go in the middle room with the fireplace, and then we'll do the whole pretty room. And then I've never taken you into my office on a tour, because it's very simple. I've done nothing in there, but it's my greenhouse. It connects to my office, and I've got a little play area for Junior so he can play while I'm doing my doTERRA work. So let's do that, and then I think we're about done. We'll go, I have a few more flowers, so we'll make a flower arrangement for the fireplace room, and we'll see what you think. Because of the style of the house, we don't have any ductwork, so the air flows one way when it's cold and another way when it's hot. And so the humidity sometimes in July can get a little gnarly, and I do love to hold my wrist under ice cold water when I'm arranging my flowers, just to help cool off a little bit. These again are my snapdragons. I started these from seed. I get a lot of questions about the snaps, so that's Madame Butterfly Bronze and Potomac Apple Blossom. And we're going to pop this arrangement into the fireplace room, which is just so much different than when we moved in. You saw it was rough-hewn cedar paneling, which is basically like having giant Velcro walls. If you walked too close to it, your hair would get stuck on it, and dust and everything else would as well. So last winter we tore all that down, and Joel and I put in shiplap that we cut ourselves, and we spaced out with nickels, and I do love the way it came out. I know white shiplap is very trendy, but I think it's the perfect decision for this room. I found those built-ins at the thrift shop, and this was our first foray into getting creative with the envelope windows. Once we realized that it wouldn't affect the way the air flowed, it really opened up an entire new world for us. So we took off the little slider doors and the plastic grate, and put down plywood. I faux finished it, we painted it, I did like a stain on the top to distress it just a little bit. It made a great space for the mantle clock and some of my books. I do think the shiplap is perfect. It was surprising for me to go with shiplap, but I knew that the cedar paneling had to go. I've had that little green velour sofa forever. One of these days the velour is going to give, and I'm going to have it reupholstered in an identical green because it's my favorite. I did swap out the cedar beam and put in that salvaged beam that I found at a barn salvage shop, and then here's that same view into the kitchen. The trim, we're deciding if we're going to do faux beams on the trim or maybe frame it out in the blue. We haven't quite decided yet. That's okay. I think it's really important, like this room that we're looking into right now, what we call the pretty room, we've done nothing to it, just to let the space speak to you. We have a huge thunderstorm rolling in. I'm so glad I went out to the garden when I did. You probably saw how dark it was getting out there. So I'm going to do my best to film these rooms for you, but I film without lights so that it stays really pretty and not too orange. So we're going to do our best. It just got really romantic and cozy. You should smell it. Nothing like a July thunderstorm. I love these ratty curtains, and they definitely are ratty. I use them to frame out these French doors, so I'm looking from my office into the pretty room right now. And my office is just, right now, a hodgepodge. That's a childhood cabinet. Of course, my doTERRA oils, all my favorite books, a resale shop sofa. I love the Chenonceau sign. I made that years ago. My desk is a pine harvest table. This is where I do all my blogging and photo editing, YouTube video editing. The wall does feature some of my favorites: the clock, the mushroom wreath, the little shandy, some Paris street signs, and a little tiny barometer right there on the right that I picked up at the flea market in Paris. So I do love the wall. I just don't love the wall, so we have to come up with an idea for the paneling because it's very outdated. What I would love to do is brick this room, brick the walls, and then paint the beams and the ceiling white, or maybe do a dry brush technique so they look a little bit older. Can you believe that was Aiden at 18 months? So the house is 2 stories of greenhouse. So this is the first story, and then above is another story. There's slats in the floor so the heat can get through. And then it goes down to the basement there, that ugly opening on the left, which we have to get creative and fix. This is the office. It was really interesting filming this day because the light just kept coming in and out, and the rains were on their way. This is where I start all my seeds. It's a great space.
Après moi le déluge, non? Check it out! It's pouring down rain. I hope you enjoyed this summer farmhouse tour. Wow. So we're gonna call it a wrap because it's dark and it's loud and it's incredible. A bientôt.
Enchanté.